I'm Walter Brennan, welcoming you to another performance of the Schlitz Playhouse of Stars. In the play you're about to see, I play the part of Harry Simmons, called Mr. Ears by the irreverent children. The locale, a small Midwestern town. The time, a few years back. What's for you, young fella?
Oh, I'm not a customer. I mean, I don't want to buy anything. I just wanted to see you on business.
Well?
Well, maybe I made a mistake.
Come on now, soldier. You got something to say, you up and say it. You ain't scared, are you?
No. I was going to ask you about a job. I thought maybe you needed a boy.
Well, I don't think I could use anybody right now. You know, it's a question is, like they say, a volume of business.
I see.
Might I ask just why you want a job, a prosperous-looking young fella like you?
I was thinking of buying a horse.
A horse? Well, I like to see that in a young fella these days. Any particular kind of a horse?
Oh, yes. His name's Buddy. And I can get him for $50. But my mother says I have to make the money myself. You see, my father...
Yeah?
Well, Buddy's a buckskin. That means he's sort of tan with black legs and a black mane.
Listen, soldier, you don't have to tell me what a buckskin looks like. I used to have one myself. His name was Rex.
Where is he?
Oh, he's been in the happy hunting grounds a long time now, ever since the Battle of Silver Creek.
Battle? You mean you were in the army? In the cavalry?
It's cavalry, son. The 2nd Cavalry. That was my outfit.
Gosh, that's what I've always wanted to be, in the cavalry.
It's too bad. There's no horse soldiers no more.
I know. That's what my dad says. And he says it's too bad. He says it's because horses are gentlemen and war's gotten too dirty for them.
What's your dad think about this buckskin you're wanting?
He hasn't seen Buddy. He's away. Your buckskin Rex, how big was he? Buddy's 15 hands and 1 inch and about a half.
Oh, Rex, I'd say he was about that high, maybe 15 too. Say, you haven't got a pinch of tobacco on you, have you? I guess I'm getting a little too previous. Excuse me, I'm going to get something to smoke. Be right back. Guess I must have run out of tobacco. Oh, straightening up, huh?
I hope you don't mind.
That's all right, soldier. I should have gotten that myself, but I ain't as spry these days.
I never saw this kind before.
Oh, interested in Indians, huh? Well, you know what tribe this fella is? He's a chief now, mind you.
I don't know. Can you tell?
Sure. Tell by his war bonnet and his paint. He's a Sioux. He's a spitting image of Geronimo.
Who's Geronimo?
Geronimo? Well, I'll tell you. Geronimo was the last of the big war chiefs to quit fighting. He was an Apache, Chiricahua Apache. We called him the mountain fox. He was that slippery.
Did you ever catch Geronimo?
They caught Geronimo, but my outfit never did. We come close, though, many times.
Did Geronimo's Indians ride horses, too?
Oh, sure. Take a horse away from an Indian, especially an Apache, he was nothing.
Did you have Rex all the time you were fighting?
You bet your life I did. He was worth his weight in back pay, that buckskin was. Why, he could sense more about Indians than General Custer.
Gee, Mr. Ears were...
It's all right, soldier. I know all the kids call me Mr. Ears. Why wouldn't they with a pair of flappers like these? What was it you started to ask me?
Were you ever wounded?
Well, I was lucky, considering what happened to some of the other fellas, but I did get me 2 or 3 souvenirs. Here's one of them right there.
Gosh, was that done with an arrow?
No, sir. That was done with a tomahawk.
It was done by a tomahawk in a big battle at a place called Silver Creek. Hundreds of Indians were killed and lots of soldiers, but Geronimo got away again.
That's fascinating,
Now,
Darling.
wait a minute, Mother. I haven't finished. The soldiers spotted Geronimo. Then he and Mr. Ears and some other soldiers went after him. They chased him all day, galloping like mad. And then they ran into another big batch of Indians and had to fight them. And then they got chased themselves. Boy, isn't that terrific, Mother?
Darling, it certainly is, but couldn't you please stop talking long enough to finish your dessert? Come on now, soldier.
Okay, Mom. You know, that's funny. You're always calling me soldier, and that's what Mr. Simmons called me.
What are you going to do then? Work for Mr. Ears?
Yes, I am going to work for him. I think.
Just as long as you can earn enough to buy that horse.
Mother?
What's the matter now?
I don't think Mr. Sims is going to be able to pay me much. Well, if you want to know, I don't think he can pay me anything. Well, he's awful old, and I think he's awful poor. He looks hungry, and he really can't take care of the place because he isn't spry anymore.
Well, it's a sad thing, darling, but it happens to a lot of people.
But if he doesn't pay me, then I won't be able to get the money to buy Buddy. Maybe I'd better try and get another job instead. What do you think I ought to do, Mom?
I think you'll have to settle it for yourself, darling. It's a personal problem.
Wonder what Dad would say. What do you think he'd say?
I've no way of knowing what your father would think. Why don't you go see him?
I don't know. I don't think I will. He hasn't been to see us, has he?
John, your father's busy at the newspaper. He's very busy, and, well, sometimes he gets so wrapped up he forgets about other people. He doesn't mean to be inconsiderate.
I've got a lot of thinking to do. I've got to make up my mind about this job.
Well, hi there, soldier.
Hello, Mr. Simmons. I thought you wouldn't mind if I straightened up a little.
Yeah, that's fine. You've done a fine job, son. Yes, sir, fine. It's mighty nice here. Mighty nice.
Oh, gosh, it's Saturday. I don't have to go to school.
It looks nice and neat and tidy.
What happened to 2 cans off here?
Where? Oh, well, I'll tell you. I was pretty well tuckered out last night, and I didn't want to bother to go to the butcher shop to get me a steak.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Simmons, you forgot to lock up last night. I just tried the door and walked right in.
And that's right, I plumb forgot.
Oh, and this was stuck in the door.
Well, let's see what this is. Oh, this is the advertisement for the parade. We put that right here in the window.
Parade? What parade?
The Memorial Day parade. All the veterans organizations is behind it.
Are you going to be in the parade?
You bet your life I am. And I'll let you in on a little secret. That's what I'm going downtown right now for, to make arrangements.
Gosh. Well, I'll stay, huh? And look after the store for you?
That's what I call a friend. I'll be back soon, son. Just dizzy for a second, that's all.
Are you okay? Should I go get somebody?
Oh, no. I'll be all right in just a couple of seconds. just had a disappointment. Big disappointment. I know what I'll do. I'll call on Senator Blythe. What do you think of that, soldier?
What do I think about what? I don't know what you mean.
That's right, how could you? Now that I think, maybe I ought to tell you about it. It's always good to get your troubles off in your chest, especially to a friend. It's all on account of that dishonorable discharge I got from the Army.
You got a dishonorable discharge?
Now, wait a minute, soldier. It happened to all us fellas that signed up too young and falsified about our age. It was all right while those Indians to fight, and come peacetime they clamped down on us. What do we get? Dishonorable discharge.
But that's not fair.
Now, wait a minute, son. Let me finish. 12 months back, the government passed a law saying that if there was any of us fellas left, and there's mighty few, that we was to get an honorable discharge anyways.
But if there's a law, why were you disappointed today?
Well, my papers didn't come through from Washington. That's what they told me down the Veterans Bureau. I'll see Senator Blythe. I voted for him. He'll fix it up. He's got to fix it up. I can't be in that parade unless I get an honorable discharge. And I'm going to march in that parade if it's the last thing I do.
Gee, someday I'll be a veteran and march in a parade, too. I guess that'll be an awful long time.
Oh, I don't know, soldier. Time goes faster and faster. How old might you be, anyways?
I'm 11, nearly 11 and a half.
You see, that 4 or 5 years will be right where I was the day I enlisted the 2nd, back at Fort Dixon.
You mean you were only 16?
That's right. Want to see how I looked then? Here's a picture of me and Rex, about a month after enlisted.
Gosh, that looks just like Buddy.
Yeah. Rex, he was one of the greatest Indian fighting horses there was. Did I ever tell you about the time in the mountains when he saved B Troop from being massacred?
No, you didn't. What'd he do?
Well, it was just after the ambush at Buffalo Canyon, see, and we was plumb tuckered out, both men and horses. Of course, we had our sentries out, but they was half dead on their feet. Now, Geronimo knows this.
It's also unfair. There's a law that says now he can get his honorable discharge, and he doesn't get it. And if he doesn't get it, he can't march in the parade. He says he's got to march in the parade if it's the last thing he does.
Poor old man, it's a shame. What's he going to do?
He says he's going to see Senator Blythe. He says he voted for him and he'll fix it up with Washington. What do you think, Mom? I think we ought to do something. You could ask Dad to do something. He's a big shot with the Herald, isn't he? Newspapers can fix anything, can't they?
I'm sorry, darling. I can't see your father. Why don't you just wait and see what happens? How soon is Mr. Simmons going to see the senator?
He says he's going tomorrow if he felt sprier. He says if he can't see him tomorrow, he's going every day.
Is the senator home?
Oh, it's you again, Mr. Simmons.
That's right. Is the senator home this afternoon?
No, I'm afraid he isn't.
But when do you expect him? I said I was going to keep on trying.
And you certainly have. I don't want to seem unreasonable, Mr. Simmons, but I've been telling you for a week that the senator will be glad to take up your case as soon as he's cleared the present pressure of business. Please understand that we'll get in touch with you. Don't keep making these fruitless visits.
Here's something that never disappoints anyone. A tall, cool glass of Schlitz. Hi there, I'm Bob Paige, your Schlitz man. You know, in thousands of dining rooms like this, in homes everywhere, people find restful relaxation in sitting down to a refreshing glass of Schlitz before the evening meal. There's no disappointment here, for Schlitz is cooling, delightfully refreshing. From the creamy crown all the way down, no beer refreshes like Schlitz. And no one has ever been able to duplicate its perfectly matchless flavor. Schlitz is never harsh, never bitter, and there's never a trace of disappointing sweetness. Actually, when you drink Schlitz, your thirst can feel the difference. And to make sure you always have enough on hand, come into the kitchen for a moment and let me show you the newest way to buy it. Pick up a 6-pack of Schlitz half-quart cans.
It's so easy to carry with a handy handle, and each half-quart can gives you a third more beer than the regular can.
The open end makes the cans easily accessible, and it also helps the beer to cool much faster in your refrigerator.
Honestly, it's so convenient. There's no reason at all to ever be without Schlitz, and the wonderful refreshment it affords.
And remember, if you like beer, you love Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. And now back to your Schlitz Playhouse of Stars.
I knew that senator wouldn't do anything.
It ain't his fault, soldier, it's your own. It's a judgment against me, that's what it is, a judgment.
I don't understand what you mean, Mr. Simmons.
It's a judgment for lying to my friends like you, soldier.
Lying? About what?
Oh, about fighting Injuns and chasing Geronimo and the Battle of Silver Creek and all that stuff.
You mean you weren't in the cavalry at all?
Of course I was. You seen my picture, didn't you? Joined up in '85. That time all the Injuns was back on the reservation. It's a judgment against me.
But all the rest was true, wasn't it? About you saying you were older and dishonorable discharge, all that? You know something, Mr. Simmons? I'm glad you didn't kill any Injuns. I mean, really kill them.
Yeah?
And you know what? Everybody tells lies. To everybody. Even to their friends. I told you one. You asked what Dad thought about Buddy, and I told you Dad was away. Well, that was a lie, really, because Dad isn't just away. He's separated from my mother.
That's too bad, soldier. Fellow with troubles like that, well, I shouldn't be bothering him with mine. How long since you seen your dad?
Oh, a long time. About 2 months. But I'm going to see him. Right now. What's the matter? Are you all right?
All right, soldier. Just a muscle cramp, that's all. Just a muscle cramp.
That's right. Make the story front right for the Bulldog and then rewrite it for page 3 in the final. Come in. Come in. And find a better cut of the woman. That one makes her look like a dog catcher. Oh, and Mike, It's not important, Mike. I'll call you back later. John, you get taller every day.
You don't see me every day.
I know. I don't see you very often, do I? But I'm glad you came. Sit down. Sit down. Okay, how are things? How's school? How's your mother?
She's fine. In fact, it was her who told me I ought to come see you about my problem. You said...
Did you need her to tell you to see me? Look, John, I'm still your father. And when you need help, I'll always be here.
Yeah.
We'll have a long talk about this one day, John. About you and me. Now, what's your problem?
Well, it's not about me, Dad.
Is it about your mother? Is anything wrong? Has anything happened?
No. Mother's all right. This This is about a friend of mine who...
Mr. Morris. No, I'll get to the editorial in a moment. Yes, I know it's important. It'll be on time. Now, what was it? What's this about a friend of yours?
Oh, his name's Mr. Ears. He owns a grocery store down on Acorn Street. You see, he's a veteran, but he can't prove it, and he wants to ride in the Memorial Day parade.
Yeah. That's a good story, Peters. Look, I'll tell you what to do. Check first with the State House. Go to the governor if you have to, and don't let him off the hook. John, where are you going?
You're awful busy, Dad. I'm sorry I bothered you.
That's right, Peters. This is your #1 assignment. Drop everything else, and don't let him off the hook. Something that has to happen to everybody. And he must have been very old.
But he wanted to be in the parade. He wanted that more than anything in the world.
Look, John, maybe we can make some inquiries about the honorable discharge, and then make sure that he gets a military funeral with all the trimmings. How about that, huh?
But he wanted to be in the parade.
We'll make all the arrangements now. You'll see what your old man can do once he swings into action. Matthews, call the city morgue and check on... What's Mr. Ear's name, John?
Harry Simmons.
Harry Simmons. Yeah, that's right. I'll call him and give him further instructions later. Thanks. Now cheer up, John. Mr. Ears would be very happy with the honors we'll give him. And I'll even run a story about him in the paper, with this picture.
Thanks, Dad. That'll be swell. I guess I'll be getting home.
Wait a minute. There's something else. How would you like that buckskin horse you've been working to buy? Why don't you go down to the stable tomorrow? I'll call him that you're coming.
I'm not sure I want him anymore.
I don't understand something, John. You've wanted this horse for over a year now. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now you don't want that horse.
I'm not sure. I feel kind of mixed up. I just don't know.
Now, wait a minute. You sit down. Yeah? Oh, Matthews. What? You're kidding? I've never heard of anything like that before. Well, thanks for tracking it down. John, that phone call. That was Matthews who just checked the morgue. What would you say if I told you Mr. Ears isn't dead?
Not dead?
He isn't any deader than you are. He's in the city hospital, wrapping himself around the best meal he's had in years. Did you ever hear of malnutrition, John? That was Mr. Ears' problem.
Oh, boy, that's wonderful. Are you going to find out about the honorable discharge?
You think the world of Mr. Ears, don't you, John? And you like to be around him and talk things over with him.
I can't explain it. But when I'm with Mr. Ears, it's like being with...
With a father?
Yes, sir.
I can be an awful fool sometimes, John. A lot of the time. I guess your mother's an expert on that subject. But I always find out some way the things that are important to me. Come on, let's go.
Let's go. Where?
Home.
Come on, let's go.
Well, soldier, how do I look?
You look fine.
The only thing that's worrying me now is can I keep up with the other boys?
You're cavalry. I mean cavalry. You're gonna ride a horse. My horse. I'm lending him to you. I just got him yesterday. Mom and Dad bought him for me. The man's got him waiting over at the parade grounds.
Well, now that's what I call a pal. You mean the one you used to talk about all the time? The one that looked like Rex?
Yeah, buddy.
This takes me back, all this. Say, did I ever tell you about the time I saved the captain's life at Buffalo Gulch? Here I go again. I'm sorry, soldier.
Come on, Mr. Simmons. You mustn't be late.
Touching story, friends. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. And here's something else that's brewed for enjoyment. Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. One glass will convince you that Schlitz makes all the difference in the world. It's a cooling, refreshing difference that your thirst can actually feel as well as taste. No wonder it made a city famous. Next week we'll have quite a different play for you. Our star will be Dan Duryea, who finds himself a stranger in a small border town, propelled into a series of dangerous and exciting adventures. Until then, this is Bob Paige for the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company bidding you a very pleasant good night